Team Fortress 2 is a game with teams in it.
Dear God. There's more.
Sometimes the teams aren't really balanced that well.
No.
Now, before I explain how matchmaking ruined everything as regards team balancing, let me just explain to you really quickly how things worked in the good old days as far as people connecting to the server went, because this is important, right? So, in the Quickplay era, in the golden age of TF2, when you joined a server, as you were joining a server, you were not assigned a specific team, right? You have to connect to the server, you have to load into the game, and then you are faced with the menu letting you choose what team you want to play on. Either you play on blue, you play on red, or you spectate, but you're not assigned to a team until you make the conscious decision that you are going to be playing the game for that team. This is very simple, very basic, and yet very logical. And the system just worked. It worked because it was made by people that knew what they were doing. You don't need to reinvent the wheel as it goes with this system. But unfortunately, they did reinvent the wheel when they made that ridiculous embarrassment clown update known as Meet Your Match. They decided that this very simple and logical system wasn't good enough. No. And they replaced it with a truly ingenious decision on their parts. And that decision is, ever since Meet Your Match came out, ever since the casual matchmaking system came out, you were assigned to a team before you even connect to the fucking server. Yes, they thought this was a good idea. They thought that, yeah, you are already playing on blue team before you load into the game, before you even select the class, before you load in. As soon as the game finds you a match and you get those 10 seconds until you get connected, you start connecting to the match, you're already a part of a team. I hope I don't have to explain to you why that is a fucking terrible idea. And if you want to see the results of that, all you have to look at is this video that I'm showing you here. And the constant and chronic team imbalancing that is always present because of this retarded ass decision, right? It's simple as that. It's the most stupid fucking thing I've ever seen. And I can't tell you why they added this or why they thought this was a good idea, but I'm telling you that this is what it is. Like, this is what's happening, right? And this is why games are like 40% of the time when you're playing casual, you're going to be having these imbalanced shitfests constantly. Now, TF2 is not one of those games where you get, like, your dog gets executed if you disconnect from this very serious League of Legends ranked hardcore match. No, TF2 is a dynamic game as far as balancing is concerned. As far as, the team player counts are concerned, people are going to be leaving and joining as they please. And obviously, because of that, there needs to be a system to compensate for that, right? And the system to compensate for that fact is auto balance, right? Auto balance has been in a game since as far as the scrolls go, and usually as far as the scrolls go, people have been bitching about auto balance. But auto balance is just a necessary force, not even a necessary evil. It's a necessary force to keep the games balanced. That's just how it is. Since people are going to be rage quitting the game, you need to accommodate that fact and balance people to the team that has less players so the game remains balanced, right? Like, this is just a very basic concept, not balanced on, skill-based matchmaking. Oh, we got to keep the elo levels are got to be checked. No, I'm just talking about the numerical level. A game should strive to be 10v10, 12v12, 9v9. It shouldn't ever be possible for a game to be 10v5 for more than 10 seconds. That's just basic logic. But ever since Meet Your Match, auto balance, although it still is in the game, it is completely gimped. It is dormant half of the time because of what I mentioned. It doesn't function because people that are connecting to the server, or people that quote unquote lost connection, are considered to be sentient players that are actually participating in the game. So auto balance, well, no, we can't balance anyone to your team, right? Because little Roberto Gonzalez 2017 and his two FNAF buddies are coming into the server. Now, it doesn't matter that they're going to be connecting for 5,000 years because their PCs are from the Gorbachev era. But that doesn't matter because we assigned them to your team, so we can't auto balance any actual players that are playing the game and not fucking loading. Seriously. Like, that's it. That's what they did. I can't explain this decision. I can explain that this is what's happening, but as far as the motivations behind the people who decided that this was a good idea, I cannot fucking tell you. I don't have a clue, man. Maybe you can tell me. Maybe some genius has figured out how this makes sense. That we have to make people that are not in the game yet, we have to make these people part of the team and make auto balance not function for 5 minutes, because that's just a genius idea and it's totally not going to destroy the flow of the game, right? And this is just like shit like this happens all the time, especially when I'm talking about like mid fights of a rounds that just started. You're gonna have 10v8s, 12v8s, 5v9s constantly because people are connecting to the server and they're already considered to be a part of your team, even though they're in the fucking loading screen and they're not playing. Or they load it in and they're like in the kitchen eating a fucking sandwich and they're already considered a part of the team. Because that makes a lot of fucking sense, right? So then you have these green phantoms. I call these people the phantom players, right? Because they're not actually playing the game because they're not in the server yet. They haven't connected yet, or they haven't, they're not even on their PC, but they're already assigned to your team, right? These are the phantom players, and this is the green phantom player. If you press tab, you will see, oh, player connecting in green, and that guy that's connecting, he's considered a part of your team. You have another variation, the yellow phantom, the golden phantom player. This is the players that quote unquote lose connection. Now, okay, sometimes obviously people do actually lose their connection and they get disconnected, and maybe they will return and they want to come back to that server. Maybe that's going to happen. But let's be serious here for a minute. 90% of the time a player loses connection, quote unquote, 90% of the time that guy is not coming back. Like, dude, fucking Roberto Gonzalez told me to go fuck myself and that I should jump off a bridge, and he quit the game. I'm pretty sure he's not going to come back because he lost connection, quote unquote. He has to be assigned to your team even when he's out of the server, right? Because what if he comes back? Yeah, what if he comes back? Like, what difference does it fucking make what team he's going to be assigned on when he comes back like 20 minutes later? Even if he comes back, why the fuck do you just disable auto balance for a team because you consider these players to still be a part of it? Like, no. Like, again, I have to go back in time to the Quickplay era, to a more elegant time, to a logical time, right? Because people that aren't actually playing the game, that haven't selected a team, those people were automatically assigned to spectator. They weren't part of either team. That's how you solve this fucking problem. That wasn't a problem until matchmaking came in. You assign people that aren't manually picking the team that they play for to spectator, and it just makes sense. And then when they're actually in the server, when they're present, when they're not connecting or they haven't lost connection, when they actually make the decision that they are going to play the game now, then they get put into a team. Not in this fucking ridiculous system where you just put them in a team before they even connect or even when they disconnect. No, this guy's part of red because he is, okay? this might be an issue when they're like when you're playing with your buddies, but I would much rather play a game when I'm playing with a buddy of mine that's actually balanced than a fucking 10v5 and we're on the same team. Because like, dude, like come on. I'd rather kill my buddy than fucking play the most boring one-sided stomp pieces of shit games possible, which often happens in casual. Like, dude, auto balance isn't supposed to fucking work 10 years later, okay? Auto balance exists for the sake of balancing the games dynamically in the middle of a fucking match. That's why it exists, dude. It needs to be quick, it needs to be efficient, and it needs to have, a logical rule set behind it. The logic is if a game is 8v10, someone needs to get fucking auto balance. It's that simple, Doesn't matter. If a game is 12v5, you shouldn't wait for 10 people to connect to the server. You should auto balance the fucking teams first, and then the people that are connecting, they're just going to join whichever team they want, whichever team they can join. That's the way it should work. That's the way it worked in a better time when the people making this game actually knew what they were doing. Nowadays, again, I I don't know who's making this game. That's the thing. I don't know who to blame. Is there even anyone doing it? I don't know. But like I can only assume that it's clowns, homeless people that are like addicted to crack that somehow got past the selection process, excuse me. But I mean it's a fucking mess, dude. Just the fact that you have to accept the fact that one team is regularly going to have like two players less and they're going to be down like two players because there's no auto balance and instead you have to wait for the people to connect. Even in the best case scenario, when the people that are connect in like 30 seconds, that's 30 seconds of a game that you're just down two players and you're just at a guaranteed disadvantage. That shouldn't be a thing. And that's the best case scenario. 30 seconds of being down. Usually, very often, it's basically just like at least 1 minute, sometimes more than that, of you just being down two fucking players, minimum. Just like, and it happens constantly. Like every fucking time. I guarantee you, if you play TF2 for more than 2 hours, you are going to have moments where one team is just at a clear numerical disadvantage for more than a minute at a time. And it's just, that shouldn't be a thing. It's like, oh, but it's just a minute. It's just a minute. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it kind of is a big deal, you jerk off. Especially considering the fact that TF2 doesn't have a time limit system anymore in Valve servers. Before, when you had the time limit system of 45 minutes before the map restarts, I guess then, yeah, it wouldn't be a big deal, maybe. But now, without the time limit, you can have games literally end in a minute. I've seen fucking Badlands rounds end in 30 seconds, and in a minute, the fucking map restarts to the same map, of course. CTF, Scout goes in, caps the intel 3 times, you have to restart the map in like 2 minutes. And that's just a constant of post 2016 TF2. That's just accepted. So the idea that 1 minute of your fucking round being at a severe numerical disadvantage doesn't change anything, it's just stupid and it's false. It's ridiculous. Auto balance was a good thing. The time limit was a good thing. And both of those things got removed. If one of them got removed and the other stayed, like if you kept the time limit, then yeah, I guess the balancing system wouldn't be that big of a deal because you could potentially have like 10 rounds in 45 minutes, right? And you could have a dynamic flow of the game in those 10 rounds, during 45 minutes. But as it is now, as TF2 exists today, it's just a fucking joke. It's a vicious cycle. That's what it is. Because people leave your team, right? And you're missing players, and then instead of auto balance kicking in, you start connecting other players. But because auto balance isn't there and you're at a numerical disadvantage because you don't have players, right? you lose the fucking game, and by the time those people that were connecting to the team, instead of auto balance, connect to the server, the game's over, and those people leave, and we get the same fucking circus ride the next fucking game. Because why wouldn't they leave? Why wouldn't they leave? You wait, you fucking put yourself into the matchmaking system. You can't join manually. You are forced to wait by the matchmaking system to find you a game. You wait, you get into the queue, and you connect to the server, and the game's already over. And I'm like seeing like the map vote, and everyone's score is shown, and I didn't even get to play the fucking game. Of course, I'm gonna leave that server. I'm gonna leave that server and queue again. That happens regularly when you just get connected to a game that's already over, and you know that precisely because you got connected there, because you were getting connected there, the auto bounds didn't kick in, and that's why the game ended when it ended. If the auto balance did kick in, maybe you could have connected to an actual game that's being played, because it would have been a balanced match, and maybe it wouldn't have been a stomp that's over in 2 minutes. And of course, because there's no time limit, you just have to restart the game, because that's how the matchmaking system works. Because again, like, I don't have a fucking degree in game design, and I can tell you that this is what's happening with the matchmaking system, and this is what has been happening with the matchmaking system for the past 6 fucking years. I don't have a fucking degree in game science, I'm not a game scientist, and I know this shit. And you're telling me that a fucking multi-billion-dollar corporation, as Valve is, you're telling me that this fucking corporation does not have the talent present to spot that in one of their flagship fucking titles, this has been going on for almost a decade? You're telling me they didn't notice that? Like, I don't know. What's the explanation here? Well, I think the explanation is very simple, and it's just that Valve does not give a shit about TF2, and it has not given a shit about TF2 for like 10 years at this point. It's just like that's just a sad fact. It's been said before. TF2 dev team doesn't play its own game, because how do I know all about this without having the game design degree? Because I played a fucking game. Unfortunately, I am still playing Team Fortress 2 regularly, and I noticed that. If they played it, they would notice that. They would see the problem. Oh, yeah, well, maybe we should fix this. Maybe our matchmaking system is a fucking joke and a disgrace, and we need to remove it. And you bring back the perfectly functional system that we had before, that was Quickplay, that was not only much better at balancing the game, but also didn't have cheater bots flooding, like every single server on a specific map. It's almost like matchmaking is just an irredeemable pile of fucking garbage. And we were fucking morons to add it in, and we were even bigger morons to keep it in when we know that it sucks. Of course, this is a pipe dream, and it's never going to happen, because TF2, it's not, I don't know. I guess Gabe Newell just doesn't like it. He doesn't care. He's like, fuck it. Let him rot. And he can't put in any resources of his fucking yacht billions into this game that, is part of the reason of Valve's, reputation as a great game developer. And, it's probably the best multiplayer game they ever made. We don't care anymore. Fuck it. It's too old. Whatever. It's very fucking depressing, but that's what it is. They don't care. When the people who were actually passionate about the game, the old team, the Robin Walker team, when they left, they weren't replaced with anyone that gave a shit. And that's just the consequences of that. Is this video, is the topic of what I'm talking about. And it's the decline of the game that could have been avoided, should have been avoided. And if Valve gave just a douche nozzle ounce of a fuck, they could have prevented this. It didn't have to be this way. But what are you going to do? No, but really, I fought this over. I thought about what good has matchmaking actually brought to TF2? And for the life of me, I can't find a single benefit. Nothing. Nothing is good because of matchmaking. Everything just got worse exponentially. You know? You can't switch teams, you can't spectate, you can't join the servers manually, you have to be put into a queue. The game doesn't even get balanced correctly anymore. Cheater bots are flooding fucking specific maps, specific game modes. It's just like Quickplay didn't have any of this bullshit. And of course, you just need to remove a perfectly functioning and a perfectly reasonable, logically made system and replace it with some fucking modernized, streamlined, fucking retarded garbage because, well, you just have to update shit for the sake of updating it without actually thinking about the consequences or thinking about, is this actually going to improve the game? Well, who cares? We need to justify our salary. We have to update the game because that's just what a modern game is. It has to have matchmaking. Look at Overwatch. I just imagine a fucking like Bozo the Clown type nigga making this decision. Oh yeah, matchmaking is just it's just a good thing. It's a modern thing. Overwatch has matchmaking, and that's selling pretty well. I guess we have to copy it. hey, did you know that Overwatch removed the old game and replaced it with Overwatch 2, and you can't play Overwatch 1 anymore? Why don't we do that for Counter-Strike? This is the fucking person that's in charge of the decisions of updating the games at Valve. That's the guy, that little fucking clown, and that's why you can't play CSGO anymore. So, yeah, that's the same reason why TF2 has matchmaking. Because Bozo the Clown is in charge of TF2. Gabe Newell is on his yacht with his knife collection, buttering his bread with his karambit like Doppler, right? No, let's be honest, not bread. Buttering some fucking Big Macs. He has his own like personal fucking McDonald's on his little steamship over there. And he doesn't care about, any game development. So it's Bozo the Clown that's in charge of Valve. He's the viceroy of Valve at this point, and he's making these incredible decisions, like adding matchmaking to TF2, like removing CS:GO and replacing it with a shittier version of it. But hey, the graphics are better, so it's okay. Hey, you keep your skin, so yeah, fuck, like TF2 could have been, it could have been strong to this day. It should have been. It should have been. If they gave a shit, if they actually cared, if they put in an ounce of an effort, and if they had just a little bit of passion into making this game as great as it could be, TF2 could be getting, a 200K player count daily without any issue. It's just like, if people are looking for constant excuses to come back to the game, they'll come back to the game for the most embarrassing, shitty update because, oh, wow, look, Valve cares again. Just like, imagine if they cared. Imagine. The worst part about talking about everything that's related to this topic and just seeing how matchmaking just fucking ruins everything, the worst part, the absolute worst part is just to see how easy the solution is. The auto balance system is already in the game. It has worked for 10 years or whatever in the Quickplay era before matchmaking. The system used to exist to a level where the idea that I can play a 5v fucking 12 game was insanity back in those days. It was just absolutely ridiculous and absurd to even assume that would happen. Auto balance would just kick in automatically and the teams would become balanced. It's a fact of life. That's just how it went down. So, it's like, oh, what's the solution? Oh, how do we fix all this bullshit with matchmaking? Oh, we need to reform this. We need to reform that. No, you don't need to reform anything. You can't reform a system that is rotten to its fucking core. Okay? Casual matchmaking is a fucking disgrace with no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and it has fucking ruined and destroyed everything. There doesn't need to be any reform on the system itself. It needs to be fucking taken out back like old Yeller, and it needs to get that treatment, okay? It needs a fucking buckshot to the head and throw it out, bury it, forget it ever even fucking existed. Bring back Quickplay. That's the solution. It's as easy as it gets. You still have that system, right? Like, all you have to do is literally just scrap the shitty matchmaking and bring back Quickplay. 90% of the problems that TF2 has is solved just by that. I've been over this before. Matchmaking is basically a direct reason for the bot crisis. The fact that instead of connecting to a server manually, you automate everything is perfect for fucking automatons, for fucking bots and bot hosters. And that's why we have a fucking 10-year almost fucking cheater crisis in TF2 because of matchmaking and because it's a pile of fucking trash that needs to be scrapped and replaced with the good old reliable quick play system. The one dream that I still hold, if I could just have one thing this Smissmas from fat ass Santa Gabe Newell, all I want, man, all I want is fucking quick play to come back, to make a return. That would make me happy forever. I would never complain about TF2 ever again if Quickplay come back. I would be in a state of bliss. Okay, please get off your fucking ass, you fat fucking kiss ass. Come on, man. I'm begging you at this point. How many fucking years has it been? TF2 is part of the reason why Valve is, it is what it is. It pioneered your entire microtransaction fucking profiteering policy. You could, give me a thanks, give the community, give the game that made you what you are a thanks and gave you all that skin and knife money. Just bring back quick play. Just focus on the cheaters a little bit and then just dip. Revert the Ambassador, Sandman, Bonk, Base Jumper, etc. nerfs, the shitty Jungle Inferno nerfs, and then just go away. Never come back. And I will be happy. But quick play, that's the one thing. Come on, man, please. Come on.
It's over.